Good. How are you, sir?
Hi, everybody. How are you doing?
think I can
Hi.
make that big. Hello.
Before we go any further, I want you to I'll show you something. How's that?
Oh yeah, your son made a posting on Facebook.
Oh, is that
You're an
right?
author now.
Yes, that's right. This book is actually,
Really?
yeah, this is a little 36-page children's book for little kids. My son in Alberta has a farm,
Uh-huh.
and they have about 60 animals there, but they have a bunch of goats. And this
Oh,
is
I
a book
love
called
goats.
Arlo and Oliver Do Goat Yoga because they actually do goat yoga in the summertime.
Oh, that's
So this has been published. It's on Amazon, and it's doing quite well actually. And it's all about the lady comes and they do goat yoga together. I can't see because I'm on the side. It goes page by page, but at the end, and the goats do yoga with them. And the kids have to count the goats and look at the animals, and they join in. And at, and,
Cool.
at the end, I had this page done, which is the goat showing everybody how to do different positions in goat yoga.
I like it.
Love it.
So go to Arlo and Oliver Do Goat Yoga, and if I can sell 5,000 copies, I'll break even. It actually came out at #1 as when it came out there for about 3 days, and then now it's I think it's #1 in children's exercise books. Why children's exercise books? I have no idea. I guess because kids are playing around doing goat yoga, but that's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Anyway.
they're all home from school, so they have to do something, right?
Yeah. Anyway, I'm very happy with that. It's kind of fun. It's a good thing, and now I have 3 other grandkids. I got lots of grandkids, but the other 3 are in Vancouver, and I think they're 6, or 7, 5, and 3. And so what I'm going to do with them is Maddie and Avery and Cameron do Vancouver. And we'll have them in like this guy, the cartoonist is the illustrator. I picked him out of 25 people I was looking at. He's out of Ottawa, and I'm going to see if he'll do the same thing. So what we'll do is because he used to live in Vancouver before he moved to Ottawa, and maybe do things like the kids walking over the Capilano Suspension Bridge, or going up the Grouse Mountain Sky Ride, or being in Stanley Park, that sort of being in Chinatown. It's sort of like a travel log for Vancouver, but sort of like an homage for the little boys, these kids, so that when they grow up, they can say, hey, this was us when we were little.
Oh, neat.
Something to do during COVID, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You're at least productive.
So, did you have a good Wednesday, Ed?
I had a great Wednesday.
Okay.
I had, of course, Wednesday's Ed's Day. You guys may not know this, but Wednesday is called Edward's Day around here. I get to do whatever I want to do. And yeah. And what happened was we had 2 other couples, very good friends of ours from Victoria, come up, and we golfed yesterday. And I made a big, huge dinner last night, barbecued a bunch of stuff, and then we went out and we had cigars after, because I only smoke cigars on Wednesday. That's the only time I'm allowed to smoke a cigar. So we sat outside and smoked cigars and just had so much fun. It was kind of nice. Physical distancing still, but fun.
How about,
How come Bill's not showing?
yeah,
No, Bill, yeah, you're not there.
Well, apparently, I don't know. There's something flawed when I signed in, and I got the audio, but
Yeah.
just as well. My hair's not combed and I didn't shave, so it's probably much better that you see that beautiful rotary background.
Yes, I can attest to the hair not combed
I,
as much.
am going to mute you. So, what time we have? Okay. Cindy said she didn't know if she would make it. If she was too late, she wouldn't sign on. We'll go ahead and start. Well, like I say, Joan, Terry and Joan, these are always recorded, and then I put them back on the website, and then I put an email out to the club with the link, letting the members know who didn't attend that they have the opportunity, at a better schedule for them to view it. So, and I promise you, I will get it edited nicely and send you a copy as well.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so what we'll do here, I'm going to clean up the view. What's going on with the view here? There we go. That's better. What we're going to do now, Joan, is I'm assuming Terry will take the lead on the presentation. Is that correct? Or are you going to?
Nope, Joan will take the lead on the talking part, and I'll be pushing the buttons to make the slides change if I can share screen at some point.
All right. I hope you have good calluses built up over the years. Hitting the buttons there for Joan. Are you going to touch on World Polio Day and also the speaker, that opportunity for register for that presentation? And
Terry will after.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. You will do that at the end, Terry?
Yeah.
All right then. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Terry and Joan Toon. Terry is the, what do they call it now? End Polio Now campaign chair for our district.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, and Joan is not only a polio survivor, but Joan is also, I'm going to get this wrong, past president of the Post-Polio Syndrome Organization of Canada.
Yeah.
And as of one of your trips, you are now an internationally known speaker.
Yep, a couple of times now.
Okay then. So ladies and gentlemen, Joan and Terry Toon.
So we'll just, if we can share the screen.
Yes, you should be able to go down, slide your cursor down to the bottom. And do you see a little red rectangle with an arrow?
Yep.
Green one.
There we are.
Click on that.
It sounds like host has disabled it.
Bill,
Uh-oh.
you have to,
Be closer.
Bill, you have to go on to and make them a host.
See, that's something new.
I know it is, but yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
learned. Not co-host, but an actual host.
Oh, okay, hang on. How do I
And
do
then-
that? Remind me how to do that, Karen?
See the three dots in their screen? Right
Where it
click,
says more, yeah.
right click.
And then for the purpose of your presentation, you can press mute and we all mute so you can talk uninterrupted.
Yes, be good.
Did you get it?
I'm going to do it this way. One participant at a time. Who can share when someone says, oh, dot, dot, dot. All right, try it now. Try it now, Terry. Because I clicked on to make it all participants could share.
Okay,
Very good.
Just a second.
there you go.
There we go. Coming through now.
Yep.
There we
Can we
are.
take this out?
Now I'll just minimize that, and there we are.
Okay, well, hello Rotarians. Today we're recognizing Polio Awareness Month. Poliomyelitis is a disease that goes back at least 4,000 years. Polio enters through the mouth and multiplies in the throat and gastrointestinal tract. Upon reaching the bloodstream, the virus moves to the central nervous system, replicating itself in hours, infecting, damaging, and destroying the nerve cells called motor neurons, which control our muscles. The onset of polio in America led to new developments, such as the iron lung, consisting of a galvanized iron box, a bed, and air pumps from 2 vacuum cleaners attached to an electric motor. It worked by changing the pressure inside the machine. When lowered, the chest cavity expands to fill the partial vacuum, and raised, the chest contracts to mimic natural breathing, saving many lives. Iron lungs have been replaced by ventilators, and today there are concerns about adequate numbers available, just as in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Another innovation occurred when FDR was struck with polio at age 39. Late onset often left people with permanent and severe paralysis, yet he went on to become president and a leader of the Western world. He used this terrible disease to establish the March of Dimes. Times were hard, so he asked people to send even a dime to help battle polio. In a few weeks, 2,680,000 dimes were mailed to the White House. This led to yet another change when small donations came from many rather than large from a few, and it revolutionized medical philanthropy. In recognition, the president's face is on the US dime. In 1935, two possibilities for a vaccine were developed and quickly tried in desperation. 9,000 children were injected with one and 10,000 with the other. Both were disasters, some even causing the polio they were trying to stop. Bizarre things were tried to halt polio, such as hanging mothballs around the neck, blaming flies, bed bugs, and the destruction of 72,000 cats, without success. Today in COVID-19 is hydroxychloroquine, injecting disinfected and unproven remedies, again, without success. Extreme measures were needed. Towns and cities were sprayed with DDT, an insecticide that would later be banned from use due to its drastic effects. Parks and swimming pools were closed and movie theaters were shut. Social distancing was enforced. Children were kept indoors, but to no avail as polio continued to spread. Babies were forcibly taken to a quarantine hospital for any sign of contamination, and children under 16 who tried to enter other towns were met by sheriffs carrying shotguns. Just like the COVID days today we are experiencing now, the summer of 1951 brought fear and panic. No one knew who would get sick or who might die from this virus with no treatment and absolutely no cure. Today, let us go back in time to a polio epidemic in that very summer. One morning you woke with a terrible headache and a stiff neck. Your back was sore and you had a fever. Your mother called the doctor, who said you had to stay in bed and no one could come into your room. Quarantine signs were posted on your house. It was scary, but more was yet to come. You were rushed to the hospital, unable to move your left side. You were paralyzed. You asked to take your only doll, whom you loved so much, but she became contaminated as you hugged her in your arms. Then horror. Your doll would have to be burned. Oh no, you begged, not my dolly. You were only 7 years old. The isolation ward was full of youngsters, some strapped onto boards, others with a chest respirator to help them to breathe. It was overwhelming, but the most shocking were the little children encased in iron lungs, utterly helpless, depending on that terrifying machine with the frightful sound for their life. Imagine if you were that child, locked in a steel box and surrounded by strangers. Some were just little babies, only a few months old. You coped with difficult and painful tests you did not understand, and no one explained what was happening, adding to your trauma. You saw and heard things no child should have to experience, like the death of another child and the strange silence that filled the room. Parents were not allowed in isolation. Some lucky ones were able to look through their child's window and wave, but that would be all. You did not even have that contact, as you were in the new isolation ward on the 3rd floor. So there you were, no parents, no loving pets, no cherished toys. Is it possible your doll may still be there when you got back? Would you ever go home again? No one could tell you for sure. You struggled through rehabilitation and finally did get home, but things had changed. You were shunned by some children, you were teased by others because of your braces and pronounced limp. Very difficult for a child who had been through so much. I know this was challenging for you to imagine. I understand what you felt as you envisioned those terrible days. For me, it was all too real as well. This is my story and my life. Mary was my beloved doll. In 1955, Salk introduced his vaccine made from an inactivated poliovirus given by injection and very safe. It produces humoral or bloodstream immunity, which keeps the virus from migrating to the central nervous system, but it only protects the inoculated person. People lined up by the hundreds for even a chance for protection. 6 years later, Dr. Albert Sabin introduced his oral vaccine made from a live virus in a weakened state, thus impotent to harming the central nervous system. Ingested wild poliovirus is usually killed in the gut, so it cannot multiply, halting the epidemic, and it quickly became the favored vaccine. Finally, the terrible summers of fear began to decline. Today, the wait for a vaccine will be significantly shortened, thankfully, but some things remain the same. The unknowns of an epidemic cause the same fear, worry, and loneliness in lockdown, plus the grief at the loss of a loved one. During those early epidemics, 350,000 were paralyzed and 50,000 died from this appalling disease every year. For Rotarians, this was simply unacceptable. In 1978, Rotary International was looking for projects that were too big for any club or district to handle, but could be accomplished by Rotarians working as a global team. In anticipation of Rotary's 100th anniversary in 2005, it was decided to immunize the children of the world against polio. RI promised this would be their #1 priority, the largest public health initiative the world has known, and one of the greatest humanitarian projects in the world not initiated by a government agency. To begin in 1985, Rotary aimed for a target of 120 million. This would be the first major fundraising campaign by Rotarians worldwide, and just 2 years later, they had raised $247 million. Rotary then approached the World Health Organization saying they wanted to eradicate polio, but Rotary was then seen as merely a service club. RI explained they had 1 million Rotarians worldwide and $247 million in their pockets, and that changed everything. Rotary became partners with World Health, UNICEF, and the US Centers for Disease Control, and later the Gates Foundation and many governments around the world. Now, a massive war against polio began. Rotary provided the spark for the creation of the Global Polio Eradication Initiative in 1988. At that time, 1,000 people caught polio every day. Yet in 2019, that reduced to 176 cases of wild polio in the world. The GPEI is still working on eradicating the last pockets of polio, but the present pandemic has changed healthcare practices across the planet. As a result, the GPEI took a difficult decision to delay immunization campaigns. Thankfully, these have now resumed. We can be proud that the polio infrastructure that Rotarians have helped build is being used to address and stop the spread of coronavirus. As you can imagine, a great deal is being learned about disease transmission, and that knowledge will be put to work as we re-examine strategies to eradicate polio. In Africa, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, where polio personnel and assets have a greater significance, workers from all GPEI countries are engaged in surveillance, health worker training, contact tracing, and more. In 13 countries, polio volunteers have been deployed to address COVID-19 preparations and response. Rotary clubs from around the world have mobilized to help with personal protective equipment, ventilators, and other medical equipment, some using district grants to boost their own funds. Social mobilizers are local people trained to communicate with the public about specific health issues. Many of those normally working on polio immunizations have been diverted to counteract COVID-19. Soap bars have been welcomed by the local population, and the wrapping carries a message like, "Let's come together for a polio-free Afghanistan." Parents who may have resisted the idea of polio vaccination welcomed the advice about COVID-19 and are learning to trust the social mobilizers. So we're making progress, both in spite of and because of COVID-19. Bill Gates spoke at a combined district conference about polio eradication, thanking a number of Rotarians for their work. After the conference, he told the press, "You know, we're going to get to the end of this, and Rotary will be the reason that will happen." Maintaining high levels of immunization is the single most effective protection possible at this time, as there is still no cure for polio. Some people refuse immunizations due to unfounded fears of potential side effects. I can assure you that a possible reaction from a vaccination is nothing compared to the horrific results of a disease such as polio. Sadly, every 20 seconds, a child in our world still dies from a vaccine-preventable disease. The idea of losing a child is inconceivable. Imagine a child unable to walk, breathe on their own, or worse, dead, and knowing every day of your life this could have been prevented with a simple vaccination. Vaccinations are the greatest medical achievement the world has seen, not just treating a virus, but actually stopping it from developing. And we see that action with polio immunizations. This terrible disease mainly affects children under 5 with horrendous results. It is difficult to detect. 72% will not show any symptoms. They will carry the virus in their gut, eventually excreting it, which might infect others. As people handle contaminated items, walk in, wash with, or drink infected water, polio can easily spread. It can survive for up to 2 months in water and sewage, but needs a human host to reproduce, as it is strictly a human pathogen and does not naturally infect any other species. Without that host, epidemics will come to a halt. You are making that global protection a reality. The work of Polio Plus means we've created a model for public-private partnerships that will expand and advance world health issues. COVID-19 is such an example. Working together with proven ways to deal with diseases will be a legacy from Rotary that will remain long after the battle against polio has been won. Our global efforts to eradicate polio are astonishing. More than 18 million children have been saved from paralysis, and over 1.5 million deaths have been prevented. Billions are now safe from polio because of you. As well, countless cases of severe visual impairment and blindness have been prevented due to the addition of vitamin A with the polio vaccine. We are tantalizingly close to a polio-free world. However, we must reluctantly but realistically adjust our endgame goal to 2023. To succeed, we're using the proven tools of eradication that have been established in polio-free countries for years. Research is driving new evidence-based approaches to protect children against polio, even in the most difficult places, using smartphone applications. This enables the GPEI to capture data in real time and ensure polio workers are being efficiently deployed in high-risk areas and used to their greatest advantage. Our major news is that the World Health Organization has declared the Africa region, including Nigeria, polio-free. Now, there are just 2 endemic countries left. A major player in this achievement was Dr. Tunji Funsho, chair of Rotary Nigeria's National Polio Plus Committee. In September, Dr. Funsho was named as one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people. In some ways, our success with polio eradication is also creating a problem for us. We have eradication in the Americas and Western Europe, and many believe that polio has been eradicated everywhere. That's not the case. In the final 2 endemic countries, Pakistan and Afghanistan, the majority do not actually see polio cases anymore. The Taliban controls areas of Afghanistan where the fewest children are vaccinated. Their top people support efforts to eradicate polio. However, the leaders on the ground argue they don't see cases of polio, but their children are sick and dying from other causes, and they want improved health care for them. To address that concern and the successful end of polio, there have been efforts by the GPEI to bring other vaccines and health services to vulnerable communities in both Afghanistan and Pakistan. Polio Plus also provides a means of support, such as hand-operated bikes. They give access to clean water and supply soap. Malaria nets and medical treatments are made available. There are 3 types of polio. Type 1 polio still circulates. Type 2 was declared eradicated in 2016, and Type 3 on World Polio Day 2019. Rotary International explains that the oral vaccine developed by Albert Sabin was more efficient than Jonas Salk's injected vaccine, as it could reach more people in an epidemic. But there was perhaps a 1 in 5 million chance it would mutate to an active form. When children are given any oral polio vaccine, they shed the weakened vaccine virus in their stools. On rare occasions, when population immunity is low, this vaccine virus can pass between unvaccinated children and can mutate along the way. After a period of time and multiple mutations, the vaccine virus can regain the ability to paralyze. When this paralytic virus emerges in a community, it is called vaccine-derived poliovirus. Now, there's a monovalent type 2 oral vaccine to respond to existing type 2 outbreaks. The new vaccine will provide the same protection as the current oral vaccine, but without the risk of mutating into a form of the virus that can cause new cases. This is an exciting time of highs and lows for polio eradication, but we are slowly winning. And in doing so, we are improving conditions for people all over the world. The goals for this year for contributions to Polio Plus have not changed. The opportunity to do good in the world has only increased. Remember, all funds donated through Rotary are matched 2-for-1 by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and we want to take full advantage of that match. We have proudly established a Polio Plus society in our district that Rotarians can be a part of. It simply asks you to commit to give the Rotary Foundation $100 per year and designate it to Polio Plus until polio is eradicated. You will receive this special pin, which will identify you as a participant. Well done, any society members present today. Terry and I are proud to be Rotarians and a part of this incredible effort by Rotary International and their partners, especially the Gates Foundation. I'm also a polio survivor. At just 7 years old and in the middle of an epidemic, I spent 3 months in the hospital, alone and afraid. No parents, no beloved doll, no understanding of what was happening. I lost some friends to polio, little children just like me. Now my family and I must deal with post-polio syndrome every single day. I'm very grateful to Rotary for giving their word to the children of the world to eradicate this vicious disease called polio. Some would have given up after 35 years of trying, but not Rotary. They made a promise, and the world has learned that Rotarians always keep their promises. Children are living, breathing, and walking today who would never have had that chance. And Rotarians, it's because of you. Paul Harris would have been so proud, and I thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Bravo.
We're trying to come back now.
Bill, you can take back the screen.
I thought Terry was going to add a couple, do some annotations there regarding World Polio Day and the online seminar that's coming up.
I'm just going to ad lib that, Bill. Yes, World Polio Day is October the 24th. We'd love to have a district-wide wine and cheese at our house, but I don't think that's going to happen this year. But we certainly would do it if we could. And that's on the 24th. And then on October 17th,
Here we are.
on that's a Saturday afternoon, I think, at 3 o'clock, our district is going to hold one of the first district-wide polio events. And if you go to the district, the easiest way is to just go to the district website. A huge graphic is going to pop up as soon as you go there. And if you click on the graphic, it tells you, it guides you right along the way. So you can register for that. It costs you $30 to attend that seminar on the 17th. And pretty much all of that $30 goes to Polio Plus. So it will go on your behalf to the foundation for Polio Plus, and of course that counts for Paul Harris points and all of that as well. In fact, if you're a member of our district Polio Plus Society, there's $30 of the 100 for this year taken care of.
So another question, Terry, is what can an e-club like us, where we're so spread out, what can we do to celebrate or participate in some significant way in World Polio Day?
Well, probably the first thing that comes to mind is the event on the 17th.
Okay.
And there's going to be, some of the speakers are really outstanding people. John Germ is going to be there, past Rotary International president, and several really outstanding speakers. And I'm told that they are going to be prepared to answer questions too. And from what I've seen in the past, they're very good at it. So that would be the first thing that comes to mind. You might, at that, not our district conference, the district training event we had this year, I could not get over how much fun that wine and cheese was at the end of it. And I don't know if you wanted to, it might be fun just to try something like that online. Everybody have a glass of wine if that's what you like. And, or you could, if you did it on a Wednesday, you could have a cigar.
Or do both.
And something social like that might be fun.
That's a great idea.
Well, if you remember at the district conference, because of COVID, they were doing it all online, and they had that wine and cheese, and 800 people attended.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah. It was just screen after screen after screen of people. And if
It's amazing.
if you're lucky, you could end up with Bill and Karen on the screen that we happen to be looking at, and we could wave at them or something like that.
That's about it, yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah.
Joni, I have to say, I learned a lot of new things from your latest talk. That was very, very enlightening.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I really
agree,
wanted to make the
Karen.
comparison with polio to COVID, because, ever since COVID started, I've said to Terry, this is like polio.
You know?
This is like polio, and it is. So that was my idea with trying to make the connection.
Well, it worked.
It was that was really wonderful.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I learned two significant things. One was they pushed the eradication goal out to 2023.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that yet, so thank you for that. And the other thing I learned was I did not know that they have actually developed a new vaccine
Mhm.
for the vaccine-derived polio.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is significant.
With a lot of help from the Gates Foundation.
Yeah.
And,
So where will that be administered? What countries are they going to go after for that?
it'll be quite a few countries because, believe it or not, there is quite a lot of vaccine-derived polio cases all over Africa and in the Middle East area.
Yep. Syria too. I think it's in Syria.
Yeah,
One of the areas that's having that problem. Yeah,
yeah.
because of the
Clarify.
refugee camps, and there's so many children in those camps, and the area is so polluted.
Just to clarify, this new vaccine will be used in place of the old vaccine, which could morph into active polio.
Yeah,
Oh,
the new
okay.
one won't.
The new one
So-
won't.
Joan, is this this is the monovalent vaccine?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Did you? I was so engrossed in your video. Did you explain the different vaccines and why we're only using the one now?
Well, I think it's gotten down to a point where only because of the type 2 polio, this is the vaccine that takes care of type 2. The other two types of polio are no longer
Are
there,
gone.
so they're
Excellent.
not a problem.
And of course, in your country or ours, when the kids get their shots for a number of different diseases, they get a shot. It's not drops in the mouth.
Right.
And once you get the shot, that's it. You're done. No more polio.
That's a fascinating transition because when Karen and I had gone to Ethiopia, there was no way we would have been able to give a child a shot.
No.
No.
Eventually, we'll have to.
The parents, they would not allow that. So it
No.
had to be the drops.
No.
So
I
what a
can-
wonderful transition that they've now accepted their child to receive shots.
And
And
New-
the oral
new drops.
vaccine.
new drop.
One of the things that's happened that's been really good is Rotary sort of has looked at, okay, what did we do right? What did we do wrong?
Mhm.
And in learning everything, they're now using local people much more, both as advisors, as workers, as everything, and especially the women, because mothers will talk to mothers.
Mhm.
And that's been really successful. People that are afraid that the Western world may be doing something to their children are going to trust their own people. And I think that was a terrific idea.
I saw that, Joni, when the Rotary had a short video on polio eradication, and it was in a Muslim country. And they had the women going because a man would never have been allowed in a house during the day when the wife and children were home and the husband was gone.
Yeah.
Right.
But because the women were the vaccinators, that is how the program became so successful.
Yeah. And we've learned all those things.
Yeah.
I recall, I could be wrong, but I recall at one time only Nigeria was the only country that had polio cases reported. I think it goes back about 5 or 10 years. But now apparently that's what I remember. I remember that I thought it was a news blurb that everywhere in the world except Nigeria. But apparently Nigeria is now okay.
It's
Polio
now
free.
polio-free.
Yeah.
Clean.
Well,
Yes,
Pakistan and Afghanistan have always been. We've never got rid of polio there.
no.
They're still endemic.
Can I ask you a question? I noticed in those wonderful old pictures from the 50s, none of the nurses or doctors wore masks with all the kids.
No,
No,
no.
I don't think that idea was there at all. I don't remember anyone in the hospital wearing a mask.
Yeah. And polio did spread, the polio virus did spread, I think, slightly differently than the COVID virus.
Well, yeah, but it's still, it's spread by, the big thing was children in lakes and pools where you're
Yeah.
swallowing water because it's in the water. But also, in the 50s, when I was a kid, if somebody had a bottle of pop, you'd say, oh, can I have a taste? And that's
Yeah.
one of the ways it happened. Or can I have a lick of your ice cream?
Yeah.
Because nobody understood. That's why all those tests were done to us that weren't very nice, because they didn't have a clue what was causing it. That was the biggest problem.
I also want to mention that, and again, this is only because of what I read. I just Googled the polio and on the web there. I said, I just Googled who's eradicating polio. For quite a few years, Rotary was not even mentioned.
Yeah.
It was always who. And then, of course, the Gates came up, but Rotary finally is being recognized, which I'm glad to see.
Yeah, for
Bill
sure.
Gates has helped with that a lot because he's right up front all the time saying that Rotary is such an important part.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. Even now with COVID, as Dr. Bruce Aylward said, Rotary built the bridges that we're using now to deal with COVID.
I also thought it was really interesting when you said that part of the reasons in Afghanistan and Pakistan is that they didn't see the polio. They had other health issues that they were wanting us to take care of. I didn't realize that. I'm always thinking strictly polio.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you think of a child, that's got polio, that's visually very obvious. So if they're not seeing those cases, they're going to assume it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised how many times I was over at an international conference in Copenhagen, and people were talking to us and saying, well, it's gone, isn't it? No.
Well, you talk to people, younger people in the US, and they have no idea what it is.
No. Same
Yeah,
here.
it's been gone so long.
Yeah.
So with international travel, is it always a possibility of popping up in other countries?
Yes.
If you're going to travel internationally, you should call the health unit in your city and say, should I be getting a polio booster?
Yeah.
Because they'll tell you, and especially for countries like Vietnam, a lot of the Asian countries, you really should.
Yeah.
And think of all the, once the cruise business gets back in again, imagine all the cruises that people are going into those areas.
Or wasn't it just
Afghanistan is not really on my vacation schedule right now.
wasn't it just a year or so ago that a case popped up in Australia from somebody that had moved from India?
Yeah, that can
And
happen.
it's like, it's still very possible, and we have to keep up on vaccinations. That's so important everywhere, even where we don't have polio anymore.
A number of years ago in Australia, a plane had landed. It had come from India, and it landed. And once the people had debarked, they found out that a young fellow had polio. And they had to try and contact all the people. And they, and this is after 9/11. They couldn't find all the passengers,
Mhm.
but they had to hope that people that were in Australia and the surrounding areas, they've got a good thing of vaccinating. So they hoped everything was okay. And obviously it did turn out to be okay.
Yeah, to back that up, Paul, a few years ago, there was a Dutch commune where they did not believe in vaccinations, and they actually came to Canada
Yep.
Yeah,
and found out that there was polio there. And
Yeah.
so that was the initial case where Rotary started using one of those bylines that says it's only an airplane ride away.
that's right.
Yes.
The good thing with that one, and there's been one in the States too, those tend to be religious communities and they don't want outsiders. So once the polio was discovered, it was quite isolated and was reasonably easy to get at it.
Contain.
I would just want to ask you a question. I might ask a question just briefly. I remember it was 85 or 86. I can't remember the year. I was in the Rotary Club of Vancouver, Chinatown, and the big push to be Polio Plus was on. So everybody in the club gave $1,000 US to go and become a Polio Plus. We became a Polio Plus club. Is there a budget that Rotary has for these two countries left that people are able to give? Like instead of $1,000 a Rotarian, is it $1,000 a club? I mean, what would it take to actually fund the effort to eradicate polio once and for all?
Well, RI is encouraging every club to give at least $1,500 US each year. And of course, our objective is to raise $50 million worldwide each year, because the Gates Foundation will match it, will double it. And they've put in $100 million a year since, this whole thing, their challenge started in 2007. And so we need to get every cent of that $50 million so that they will match it. And we did last year, but we did it.
Okay, so is that an initiative that our club could do, is challenge every club in the district to match our $1,500 donation?
Absolutely.
Good point.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, good thing to do.
And just challenge the hell out of them.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And by the way, Bill, you were talking about things for the Rotary newsletter.
Yes, sir.
That would be a great topic.
Okay, then we need to get our club to put in $1,500 and be one of the first to do it and challenge the rest of the district, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good idea.
Great idea.
Good idea.
Ed, you can put in the first 1,400 and I'll put in 100.
All the profits of this book will go in, but that might take 5 years.
That would be beautiful.
I'm going to write that down, Ed. That's a great suggestion, and I'm going to poll our membership and see what we can do.
I'll put $250 in.
All right.
So is that something that we're able to go online and make it directly to RI and still get our club to be, to get the credit for it?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yes.
You donate,
Okay.
they ask you which club you're in.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have a My Rotary account, Paul, but you go in there, if you have one, it's easy to
Oh,
get.
yeah.
You just register, go in there, you hit foundation, you hit donate, and charge it to your credit card or whatever you want to do. And it asks you, like I say, like Terry said, ask your club, and it'll total up whatever our club has donated.
And you have to designate it for Polio Plus.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jenny. Yes,
The little box
absolutely.
that you fill out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't
But
forget.
but Bill, I think for us to get mileage out of this, because I'm always looking for mileage, if you could canvass all of our members and say, here's our goal for $1,500, divide that by the number of members and get $1 for each individual donation.
Yep.
And then people can give more or less or whatever based on that number. And then but then right away put in a newsletter, this is our goal. And we were committed to doing $1,500, and I'm sure we'll get the $1,500. I mean, that's not a
Yeah,
but let's be first off if maybe we're not first off the mark, but let's at least get off the mark and just challenge all the clubs in our district and make a name for ourselves. And
sure.
that might help us in the long run for people saying, hey, these guys know what the hell they're doing.
Good,
Great idea.
good PR. Yep. Good
And, you know,
idea. I wrote that down.
we can get the word out ourselves to some extent. I attend the Zoom meeting for the East Bremerton Club as well.
Mhm.
And I will, when I go to their meeting next week, I will challenge them, and you know, we can start there by just joining other clubs' Zoom meetings and go challenge them.
Yep.
Yep. Karen, are you still on?
I'm right there.
Okay,
Yes, I am.
we're going to
Yes, Karen.
challenge, I'm going to get in on your Tumwater meeting and challenge your Tumwater club.
Righty.
So do we need a
Good.
motion for this, Bill?
I don't think we need a motion because it's not a legislative action. It's just simply
Doing good.
promoting to the club members, this is what we want to do. And we want to be the first in the district. If I don't know, would we be the first, Terry? What are the numbers?
I would have to look, but it's
Okay.
early enough in the year that you could be the first.
Could you let me know? Because it'd be fun to say we were number one, or great if we're number one, but number one or two or whatever. And, you know, hey, there's 89 more of you clubs that need to follow us.
Yeah. And if you can raise
Great idea.
$1,500, what can Tacoma 8 do?
That's exactly
really?
right.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
Well, the other side of that too, Bill, is that we may not be number one to get the 15, but we may be number one to announce we're going to get it. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
And we'll,
Yeah.
and
The
we'll
idea is-
probably be the smallest club to get it.
Yeah,
there's even a better.
and the smallest.
Yeah.
You know what, Ed, I can put that on Facebook first thing tomorrow morning. We have a Facebook page for our club, and I'll post it out with a link to the district saying, here's what E-Club 502 was doing.
And say,
Brilliant.
if we can do it, you can too.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
And
That's
what one of the things we need to do is our own members need to get out and go make our donations right now, right away. So
Absolutely.
that we can
Yeah.
go ahead and reach that limit, and then be able to be proud and go to everybody else, say, hey, we already did it.
So Bill,
Yeah.
Bill, can you also then send out idiots like me how to do the link to make a donation?
Oh, to RI, you bet.
Yeah.
So I'm writing this down. I'm writing this
Don't
down.
laugh.
Idiot Ed, RI link.
That's right.
All right.
I can't even spell idiot, so don't.
Hey, Bill. Hey, Bill, you're gonna have to.
spell idiot. IDJIT.
Hey,
That's why,
Bill.
that's why I only do children's books.
Now, Bill, make sure you write that in Canadian.
Okay. I don't know how to do that.
eh? Make a donation.
Yeah, yeah.
Joe,
You should
I have
get
a
the
question
A in
for
there.
you.
Hey.
Bill, you've lost control of this meeting.
I know. Well, you know,
I have a question, Joan. This has nothing to do with $1,500, but my question is, there's so many anti-vaxxers out there. Is there a plan or something, a plan of attack to get that? Because if they don't vaccinate, it can all come back.
Oh, absolutely. And that's something that we keep trying to push. I mean, this is a preventable disease.
Mhm.
Joan,
Absolutely.
I have a question for you. See, we're not lighting up. Joan, I have a question for you. How much of this money in this polio eradication is post-polio? You have victims that are suffering from polio. How much of this money does go, we talk about eradication. How about what part of the budget goes to the post?
Are you talking the Rotary budget?
That's what we're talking about now here.
No, there's nothing.
Where does it come from then?
For polio
The
plus, for
post.
post-polio?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be the March of Dimes?
We do our own fundraising, trying to make people aware. But like, I was president of the post-polio for 12 years. And one of the
Yeah.
things when I would get people who are hurting a lot, and
Yeah.
they're saying, where's Rotary? Why aren't they helping us too? Where are those little kids that were so cute in our crutches and everything?
Exactly.
I always remind our people, look what Rotary's doing. They're getting to the bottom of it now. We can't criticize them for not doing even more. I can be
Oh, this is not a
absolutely-
criticizing. It was an informational question
No, I'm not criticizing you. I'm saying we have to say to our people, the polio survivors, that it's just not, it can't be done right now, both of them. I feel quite confident that maybe once we've eradicated polio, they will in fact move into post-polio and give us a hand.
Well, let me ask the question differently. Does RI have plans to do that?
You'd
Not
have
that
to
I
ask
know of.
RI.
I doubt it. I doubt it. But there's nothing to stop an individual Rotary Club from helping out the
Oh, I
post-polio
understand
people
that.
in their own.
I understand that. Individual clubs can do a lot or
Yeah.
do what they can.
Yeah.
I was looking for more of a collective discussion.
Yeah.
On
One of the things
that, Lou, one of the things is that Rotary is being so careful right now, making no commitment on what they may or may not do until they can certify Rotary is that polio is gone worldwide. I mean, they're being bombarded with people who want clean water, people who want to look at malaria. So Rotary is making no verbal commitments on anything until after polio is done.
The
That
way
seems,
you can do an awful lot of help in your own district, in your own clubs, is to acknowledge that there are survivors of polio today, that we're still around, and we need that kind of recognition. Our organization was very fortunate years ago to get quite a large inheritance. And I wanted to figure out, like, we were a provincial organization. I wanted to figure out how can we make that money benefit everybody in the organization. So what we did was people would write in to me saying what they needed. It might be new crutches, it might be a power chair, things like that. And then we would, if they got insurance coverage, we would pay the difference. In some cases, they didn't have any coverage and we could do it. That could be done by Rotary clubs as well. They could take on and see if there's somebody in an area that needs some help. I had one old man who had full braces like FDR had, you know, all the way down his body. And he had been paying for them on time. And they were very lenient to him. He'd been paying for over 20 years. And now his braces were gone. And he phoned me and he said, can you do anything to help me? I had the privilege of being able to say to him, we'll buy you new braces.
very nice.
Makes so much difference. But even a cane, you know, get somebody a cane that might need it.
I understand the need, or I was looking for since you are representing more of the district and the international, I was looking for what was or could be, or if there was any, being done for the post. You see the children on crutches, you show the presentations.
Mhm.
These are kids that are already suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not the preventive side. This is the dealing with the existing side. I was curious about that.
Yeah.
I've been
Good
to
question.
2 international conferences on post-polio. And one of the things that's happening is they're trying to set up a world hospital and information that we're all, rather than our own countries coming up with information, we're going to do it on a global scale. And that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a while because you're bringing in bickering countries, and that's not always the easiest to deal with.
Let alone bickering states.
Yeah.
Very true. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? I just did some Googling here. I did not know this. I'm surprised. There's 54 Rotary clubs in Pakistan. And there's actually Rotary clubs in Afghanistan.
Sure. Yeah.
What are they doing?
I'm not sure that I know an answer to that. I know one chap, talked to one chap who had been to Afghanistan and talked to Rotarians there, but that was quite a few years ago, and that was Ramesh.
They do have polio clubs.
I'm not being derogative here. I'm saying is that Rotary clubs get things done in countries that have problems because they have, usually they're in control, you know, they have influence. So, I mean, with 54 Rotary clubs in Pakistan, their Rotary has a good chance of being able to do what they want to do there because they have the connections.
Right. They
So-
do. And I did hear recently that apparently there's been a change in the senior leadership in Pakistan. There's a new general in charge. And the World Health Organization said to the rest of us that they dropped the ball when it came to bringing the new leader on side for polio eradication. And because of course the whole objective is to make them part of the solution and to bring them into the fold. And apparently they dropped, but the refreshing part is World Health Organization was quite prepared to say they did it and they're working to correct it.
Good. What we got to do is get a Rotarian general somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
We did a district conference in the cusp, and the fellow that was there, the doctor, was the head of Polio Plus for Pakistan.
Yeah.
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 So there are active groups working there for sure.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
Yeah, he had some good stories to tell too.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
I noticed, Jen, that you've made a donation. That's very kind of you.
There'll be more, I promise you. Ed, wherever you are there, it looks like we need 100, on the average, nobody has to give that much, but about 100 or a little bit less per member. I'm on board for 100 because I'm a Polio Plus Society member, and I think my 100 is already in. Is that correct, Karen?
No,
No? Uh-oh.
We do that every
Seriously?
once a year.
am I supposed to send it in? I thought it was automatic.
It is, but I should be well over that now. Anyway, okay, we'll find out. But we're gonna get there, Ed, I guarantee it.
I just made a donation.
Awesome, thank you.
Did a
Great.
big one, I
Good.
saw it.
Well done.
Cool. Okay, we're getting really close to the top of the hour. Jen, thank you so much. That's really sweet of you. It's so much appreciated. Any other questions for Terry and Joan at this point? They've given me some notes that I will send out to everyone tomorrow, especially regarding the district, the meeting for World Polio Day.
Yep.
An easy opportunity for people to donate and learn more about what's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody else?
Great presentation. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Yes, very good.
really, really good. Thank you. Thank you so much, Joan.
Well, we have one thing we'd like to say to you. Can you pass me that mask? We have a wonderful Dr. Bonnie Henry in British Columbia who has really supported the people of BC.
Yes.
And one of her favorite sayings each time is, be kind, be calm, be safe.
Nice.
And that's a good one for everybody here.
Yeah.
I'll give you a donation if I can get one of those masks.
I can get you one.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I get one too up in Qualicum Beach?
We got 2 left. Okay, I can give you that.
Okay, I just bought it. There you
All right. I'm buying one. Ed and I just bought one. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, we can probably come up with another one if somebody wants it.
go.
Oh,
Oh, I just saw Kathy's hand go up.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much. Okay. So, Joan, you're going to have to find some more of those.
yeah,
Yeah, we
we'll
will.
try.
We
I'll
will.
send you an email, remind you.
And if you give me the names of the Rotarians too, please.
Well, we have Joan. Okay. So for Joan, we have Bill, Ed, and Kathy. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right.
Aaron will do it too.
Karen. Okay. And Karen.
Okay.
All right. Wonderful. You will get another polio donation for that.
There you go.
Terrific.
All right. All right, everybody. Is that it for tonight?
Good.
Okay. My sincere thank you to Terry and Joan. Terry, and you have been just a stalwart on this End Polio. You've been doing this for years for the district.
Or refuse to go away.
And well, I think they tried to get rid of you once and you came right back. But Terry has just done a marvelous job, and almost year after year after year, 5020 is the #1 fundraiser for polio in the zone. In fact, the 2 zones, 26, 27, which was what, 30 some odd Rotary clubs?